Ace Indian spinner Ravichandran Ashwin, remember, had dropped a bombshell 2 days ago announcing his retirement from international cricket right in the middle of a crucial Australia series. Since then, there have been hundreds of theories and questions floated trying to figure out what actually went inside his mind to take this decision. Now, cricket fans may have found some clarity, albeit in a manner in which Ashwin would not have anticipated. The spinner's father, speaking to a media outlet, claimed that Ashwin was facing humiliation and that could be one of the reasons behind his retirement. However, Ashwin has been quick to douse the fire, taking to social media and saying that his father did not mean what he said, given the fact that he was not properly media trained, requesting the public to leave him alone. But of course, as they say, there is no smoke without fire. There have been questions that have been raising on, and what we heard from Mr. Ashwin's father has only encouraged the speculation. To try and have to the best of our ability, an honest and a respectful discussion on this issue, let me go across to my guest who are joining me, Bist, in Indian cricketer, and also Vedam Jaishankar, who is joining me at this point. Vedam, of course, is a friend of the show. He's been a noted sports journalist for quite some time as well. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining me at this point. Robin, I'll come to you first. As someone who I believe has played with Ashwin before, what was the first thought in your mind when you got to know Ashwin's rather abrupt decision to retire with immediate effect, and he was back in India 24 hours later?
Uh, I mean, it was a shocker for me. A player like Ashwin has taken a retirement, just in a jiffy. I was shocked that time because I know him for the last 20 years, and he's a true fighter. He's a born leader as well. The Once he announced his retirement, I was in shock. Maybe it is because he's not getting that uh, continuous chances to prove himself in the overseas conditions. I think that's the reason. That was the reason to take the retirement, and it was a shocker for us.
So she's saying that there can be merit in the rather spontaneous statement which is coming from Ashwin's father that he could not bear the humiliation. Do you think that there could be possible grounds to the belief that Ashwin felt that he was perhaps not being given his due as you pointed out, not being a test regular, especially in overseas tours, and therefore realizing that it was better to leave with his dignity intact? Because the reason a point is Ashwin has been pains to say both day before yesterday and yesterday after reaching Chennai that Ashwin, the cricketer, is not done by a long shot. He plans to play on for CSK for a really long time. His words, but Ashwin, the Indian cricket, is done, which means it's not necessarily a reflection on his abilities as a cricketer. It's something has happened which means that he no longer feels that he wants to play for the Indian team anymore.
I think, as I've told you, that what I know also, because I'm playing in Chennai for the last it's more than 10 years, and I know that he wanted to perform consistently in the overseas conditions. Because Ashwin was always a show shot in Indian conditions, but playing in overseas conditions and perform there and taking wickets continuously is the most important thing for international bowler. So I think he was not getting that regular chances. So I think that was the reason. I think that was the reason behind it. But nevertheless,
Okay.
taking 700 wickets, taking 700 more than 700 test wickets, he's a legend himself. I think if he could have get a
Yeah.
more chances in Australia, he would have maybe he would have got got us win a test match.
Vedam, let me bring you then on this perspective. Firstly, do you feel that Ashwin's retirement could have been handled better by all parties? Because it is unusual for someone to retire in the middle of a test series, that to one as crucial as BGT, and then retire with immediate effect. Usually you have people either retiring at the end of a series or saying that this series will be my last series. There have already been a lot of pressure and rumors and speculation going into the Border Gavaskar Trophy as well about whether everyone in the squad deserves to be there on merit or not. And now with this rather abrupt exit, do you not feel that it could perhaps have further destabilized the morale in the Indian dressing room?
Uh, Absolutely. I think
Vedam,
the
that
way
question
he
was for
has,
you. Robin, I'll just come to you on that. I just wanted to
yeah,
bring in Vedam. He has been waiting patiently. Vedam, if you can hear me, that question was for you.
Yeah, I can hear that. Ritangshu, one thing is you asked a very pertinent question because look, Ashwin is a highly disciplined cricketer, and you could construe this as a lack of discipline when you leave in the middle of a tour. You're leaving the team high and dry, but there must be a trigger. Without a
Yes.
trigger, it won't work out. But is he going back as much as a CSK player as a CS or as a CSK administrator? We don't know. He's going to be there for a long time with CSK, but where it's going to take him, we don't know. But let's look at what he has done also. He has been unconventional. The way he got Josh Butler out, and he is a guy who's come from T20 cricket and moved on to Test cricket, and all the time he has reinvented himself, bringing those carom ball, bringing a whole lot of things. In fact, at one time, he perhaps was the only off spinner in the business in T20 cricket. There must have been one or two others, but really for a long time, Ashwin was the only off spinner there in T20 cricket. And even there, most of the time he was bowling his doosra and his carom ball and other things. So he's been unconventional in many ways. But the way he has walked out of the tour, in a way, it's not a fight. He's got it out into the front, which the Australian media and Australian team could have exploited. It was with Rohit Sharma by his side. There was Gautam Gambhir saying nice things about him. So I think in a way it was quite peaceful. But again, you don't leave a team high and dry, especially when it's one test all and at the third test, unless there is something else. And maybe, see, the thing is, everybody knows that there's not much of cricket in India for the next year or so. We have got more international tours, and Ashwin is really useful in Indian conditions. And he's not as one spinner. So it's always going to be a sort of what do you call that? The musical chairs, like where you take one or the other spinner all the time. And we've seen this. First test you had Washington Sundar, second test Ashwin, play the fourth test. So you'll never play more than one spinner, at least not this current Indian cricket team. So it was always known that he is going to be one among three. It was never said that he's going to be the sole spinner. He's going to be one among three. And I think he's mature enough and he's been for a long time to understand that. But there are obviously other
But
triggers.
maybe we don't
There must
know
be for
that,
some other
Vedam.
reason.
Vedam, yes, you rightly pointed out that one of probably the Achilles heel which Ashwin had was his performance in SENA conditions. He's never, if correct me if I'm wrong, he's never had a 5-wicket haul in any of the 4 SENA countries so far, and even in the last test match he failed to make an impact. But the counter argument has always been that Ashwin is more than just a bowler. His abilities as a batsman, and more importantly, his ability as a thinking man to understand how the game is played and the psychology of it, at this point, makes him a massive boost. There was a very strong sentiment which said that had Ashwin played in the 2 WTC finals, or had Ashwin played in the World Cup final last year in India, the situation could have been different because he is a wily operator. Do you feel that perhaps there is merit in the fact that Ashwin perhaps did get a raw deal, especially when he was being selected for the playing 11 in overseas games?
I don't know. When you look at it, you're playing the WTC final in June in England. It's not sometime late July or, early August when the pitches are more conducive to spin bowling. You're playing it in June, and that's not the right time, really, even for one spinner to really come into effect. So I guess everybody knew that there's going to be only one spinner, if at all, and we're not sure if Ashwin would have been there. So I don't think that comes at all. And in cricket, we still don't have the concept of non-playing captain. I understand Ashwin is a very shrewd student of the game. He's very sharp. He picks up the nuances very quickly. And, the way he defended himself after getting Butler out, he knew the rules inside out. And he said he was playing by the rules. They called it Munkard or whatever they called it. But he said he was playing by the rules, and he was. It became a big controversy. So he does things his own way. He is a very sharp person. He understands what is happening. But I don't buy that argument that we need to play 2 or 3 spinners when we are overseas. Maybe just one spinner, especially
Okay.
with the bowling attack that we have now. It's more pace-dominated bowling attack. It's only when you play in India, yes, you may play 2 or even 3 spinners. But like I said, we're not going to play in India for a long time now, at least Test cricket.
Okay, let me then get in Robin on that part. Robin, as mentioned, you have played with Ashwin before, you know him well. Did India miss a trick by not using his cerebral aspect a bit better, especially in this tour? He was one of those key instrumental figures in the last Border Gavaskar Trophy triumph we had at a time when there were so many senior players not available. The intelligence, the tactics used, even in times, even in giving it back to the Australians at their own game, the way he outsledged Tim Payne with saying, "Wait for you to come. We can't wait for you to come to India. That will be your last series." Did India miss a trick by not using Ashwin better and limiting him just to his abilities as an off spinner?
I think yes, because knowing him, he's as Vedam sir said that he's a very sharp cricketer, and and of course he's an experienced campaigner. Played a lot of international cricket and a lot of test. Played like more than 100 matches. So we know his ability. He can, he's a very good batsman. He has scored more than 5 centuries. I think he has 6 centuries in Test cricket. So I think we could have used him as a seventh or a eighth batter, and he's an excellent bowler. He's a very if you have seen in BGT, there's most number of runs are is making by Travis Head, and we all know how Ashwin bowls to the left-handers. So I think we could have used him a lot in a lot of ways, but to perform or to take 5 wickets or whatever it is, to perform you have to give him the consistent chances, and that could have happened. So the BGT would have been different for us result wise.
Perhaps Ashwin did see that in the future, which is why he realized that he was not going to get the consistent chance to prove himself. Vedam Jaishankar, much against the wishes of my team telling me to wind up, I'm just going to ask you a final question, and please give me a response in 15 seconds. Ashwin famously said that he is one of the last of the OGs. Do you see, as many people have speculated, some people like Sunil Gavaskar, that we will see a lot more retirements of the Ashwin generation, perhaps after this series?
Very good question. Maybe they are staggering the resignations or the retirements. Maybe you'll have somebody else after the next test and somebody else after the final test. So they could be staggering their retirements and decide that each and every one of them gets his due. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. It's possible. I agree with you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That could be a very important point, that perhaps the change of guard has really begun, and unfortunately, for people who love nostalgia, it is a big blow. But then again, India has to look forward. But was this the right time? That remains the big question. Thank you so much, Vedam Jaishankar and Robin Bist. It was a pleasure speaking to you on this short but insightful debate. It's time for a short break. On the other side, my colleague Aisha joins you with the headlines and top stories.